Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Tim, and I would like to go over just my experiences in the late 90s and early 2000s going to rock concerts. Just wanted to kind of show off some of the concerts I've been to and where any stories I can remember from the times. My very first concert is actually the only one, as far as I know, that I don't have a ticket stub for anymore. It was Slash's Snake Pit. Obviously, Guns N' Roses was really big at the time, and so going to that concert was a pretty big deal for me. I think I might have only been 15, maybe 16 when that happened. It was in Dallas, about 3 hours away from my house, where I lived, and I went with actually my high school guitar instructor and a local kid named Nick that was also in that class. Um, and so yeah, at the end of the concert, I actually had my ticket stub signed by Slash, which was really cool. And unfortunately, it's lost to time. I no longer have that ticket stub. So yeah, that's pretty sad for me. Um, my next concert I went to was after I moved to Washington. Um, and I went to a Bush concert with some friends of mine. It was my friend Cassie's birthday, I believe, um, and I believe the Bush and Goo Goo Dolls were also at that show. Bush was like a pretty fresh band at the time. They were, the new hot thing. It was. I remember enjoying that show. Never. I don't really listen to Goo Goo Dolls or No Doubt were the other bands there. So I can't really comment on them. But yeah, no, it was definitely a good show. Um, then I went to Lollapalooza in 1996. That was Metallica and Soundgarden were the headliners for that. It was also like the Ramones. I'm not really familiar with the Ramones, but apparently that was their farewell show, which they were advertising at the time. I remember. From that show, this was my friend Sean and I went to the show. It was an outdoor concert, big huge venue. I remember it was a pretty warm day. I remember being just out in at the venue, and all of a sudden my Sean was like, "Hey, what's that? Do you hear?" And it was plowed by Sponge. You could hear it way across the thing, and so we kind of booked it across from where we were, tried to get to the concert, to the second stage where that was going on, and we got there right at the tail end of the song, and then had a good old mosh pit, and it was lots of fun. Um, but yeah, and then definitely seeing Soundgarden. Chris Cornell is one of my favorite vocalists of all time, and so like having the opportunity to have seen him uh, was definitely a treat. And Metallica, I as I mentioned, I was doing the guitar thing in high school, and um, basically just knew how to play a bunch of Metallica songs. I couldn't do it anymore, probably. I don't know. I haven't really picked up my guitar in several years, but it is what it is. Then we got Typo Negative. Typo Negatives is a band I was definitely into. I ended up seeing them a number of times throughout this era. Um, and yeah, they always put on a great show. If you Peter Steele's just like a big hulking guy and would usually be just getting drunk on stage and putting on a great show. And that was a lot of fun. Then we got Metallica. Would be the second time I saw Metallica. It was with Corrosion of Conformity here. Um, and yeah, Corrosion of Conformity was definitely like they were pretty good. I definitely I've listened to some of their stuff since then. And can't say anything bad. Obviously, Metallica. Everybody knows who that is. So yeah, that's the second time I saw Metallica. I think I've seen them a few times. This was Jethro Tull. I went to it with my friend Austin, he's big into classic rock, and so obviously, Jethro Tull, you can't go wrong with their flute playing and all that stuff. I'm familiar with them. I don't still this isn't something I listen to regularly at this point. Whereas a lot of these bands are still ones that I'm into, and I'll have on my regular playlist, and will come up every now and again. Whereas Jethro Tull, obviously, like, yeah, Aqualung beat out Metallica. It was a big controversy back in the day. If you guys don't remember that story, beating them out in the heavy metal music on the Grammys, I believe it was, something along those lines. But in any case, yeah, that was a cool thing to have seen. Then you got Pantera. The thing I remember about this Pantera show, it was Anthrax was also there, and Coal Chamber. But the thing I remember about this show, not the most bright light on the story, but I was in the mosh pit, and all of a sudden I got punched in the back of the head, and that's not normal. Normally, if you're in a mosh pit, it's all camaraderie and everybody's like helping everybody out. Anybody gets knocked over, and everybody goes to rushes to pick them up, making sure nobody gets hurt, and things like that. And so I circled around to the back to see what the heck was going on, and there was this group of skinheads, like clearly like white supremacist type, big, huge, burly guys, just literally throwing punches into into the crowd in front of them, just for no reason. I mean, these guys were just awful. But in any case, still, I got to see Pantera. Nowadays, obviously, that's not nobody gets an opportunity to do that anymore. So, rest in peace to Dimebag and his brother. But in any case, yeah. So that was my Pantera experience, and then Megadeth here. This show after he took me to Jethro Tull, I dragged Austin over to see Megadeth, and this was in Seattle. So it was a couple hours from my place. At the time, I was living in Spokane. This is one of the very few concerts I went to in my younger days where we were not in the general admission area. Typically, when I go to concerts, I like to be in the general admission area and get in the mosh pit and all that fun stuff. But this was actually a balcony balcony show. And we got Pearl Jam. This is good friend of mine was a big fan of Pearl Jam, so we went to this show. We had to drive across Idaho for this, and I remember the guy who went to this concert with got a speeding ticket on the way there, which was kind of annoying because we're kids, but it probably 18-year-old, 17-year-old kids at the time, if I recall correctly. But we're driving across what is supposed to be a no speed limit, just keeping up with traffic or whatever, and got a speeding ticket. I mean, granted, he was probably going good 85 or so, but it was a nice clear day, and there were no posted speed limits at the time. I don't know what it's like there now, but yep, they just drive for whatever the conditions are, but in any case, yeah, we got to the show, and that was a good time. Here's Type O Negative, and this was with Coal Chamber. And as you can see, Coal Chamber, I'll speak about them in a minute. I actually saw them a number of times. They were at that Pantera show. They were actually at that Megadeth show. And I saw them again at another show later. I believe at a Drowning Pool show. But yeah, no, they were. I like Coal Chamber. It's not a band I listen to frequently. They're obviously like a kind of a no-name, little nothing band. But yeah, that's that. They just opened for every concert I went to for a while. It was like seemed like a stretch where I saw them 4 or 5 times in a row. And then here we've got a ticket. This is Godsmack. I saw these guys. Looks like I believe this autograph is from a band called Primer 55, and yeah, I don't know that band at all. But obviously, Godsmack is a big name. Everybody knows them nowadays. I don't think they're huge on the radio anymore, but at the time they were a pretty big band. We got Disturbed. I also, this is another band I saw a number of times. Oh, something I mentioned or forgot to mention on this Godsmack. This was also a Static X show, which I love Static X. Wayne Static was a great guy, and miss him as well. But yeah, I thought I'd mention that. But so then you also got like Disturbed here, and this one, Disturbed always puts on a great show. I couldn't find any information about who was at this show. I saw them probably, I think, 3 times or so. And it looks like I also went to Disturbed. Oh, this looks like it's about a year later. This was in December of 2000, and this is October of 2001. And this was Disturbed with Drowning Pool, and Drowning Pool, another great band. They lost their lead singer, and I think they picked up another one a couple years later. Started doing shows again. Then we have Ozzy Osbourne with Rob Zombie here. So Ozzy, obviously a huge name. I listened to. I remember being a fan of Black Sabbath years ago, like when I was in my probably 16, 17. I was into some classic rock, and Black Sabbath was a big thing. And a guy I work with, I remember, was like, "Oh man, Ozzy, man! I know Black Sabbath, but Ozzy, you got to check them out." So I went through and listened to Ozzy at that time. That would have been about '98 or so, and I got to see Ozzy in 2001 with Rob Zombie. And obviously, who doesn't want to see Rob Zombie? I've probably seen him a handful of times as well. But yeah, that was a great show. This show, I remember I was fairly annoyed because they actually, this was a floor section. They actually put seats on the floor. Like you're going to a concert where you want to have a good time and have get in a nice mosh pit or whatever, and nope, they just literally chairs on the floor. And so I might have been in the 3rd row or whatever, but it was like, oh, so I'm like right up front, but you're sitting down. It's a completely different experience sitting down watching a concert. Not really what I was looking for at the time, but hey, that's still a great show. Then we've got Drowning Pool here. I don't know who autographed this one. But yeah, like I believe this was the last time I also saw Coal Chamber was at this show. But yeah, that was a nice surprise there. Nice show there. And then we've got Rob Zombie again. This show actually, I at the bottom of the mosh pit at this show, I found a one of those disposable cameras. I didn't bring this with me. I found it at the bottom of the concert, and so I took some pictures, and I got those right here. I'll kind of go through some of those. You can see little fuzzy, but there's the guitarist for Zombie. This is the warm-up band Sinistar, which is who autographed my ticket here. I think that's that same thing. These it's a little foggy, so you can't get a whole lot out of the tickets or out of these pictures here. Oh, and they're turned upside down. This one you can't see super well, but this is actually Rob Zombie himself. And if you're the guy who lost, if you show up in this picture here and you lost your disposable camera at this Rob Zombie show, get a hold of me. I've got a handful of pictures, nothing too impressive, but I'd be welcome to return those to you if you get a hold of me. And then this is me with that lead singer of Sinistar. Which I don't know, honestly. Sinistar I've never heard of other than at this show, so it is what it is. All right, let's continue with going through the tickets here. This is a drowning show or a drowning pool, and saw them again. Looks like in 2002. Oh, hold on, this is so. Looks like we're going backwards. That's my issue. picked up the wrong stack. Sorry about that, guys. So this is Seven Dust, and when I saw Seven Dust, this was also Soil was at this show. And I think that's who signed the ticket here. I believe this says Soil. I'm not sure. I think this is probably just the whole band for Soil, if I recall correctly. I had them sign the ticket after the show. Got to meet the band. That was pretty cool. A Perfect Circle. Here, me and my brother, my younger brother Dan, went to this show. I actually won the tickets for this one off a radio. I called into the radio and was like, "Hey, free tickets to Perfect Circle." I never got to see Tool. I'm kind of sad about never getting to see Tool, but I got to see a Perfect Circle, and I'm pretty happy about that. Then we got Megadeth again, and obviously, like I would probably consider Megadeth is probably my favorite band. So I've gotten to see them a few times. This one, obviously, you can see here. This is the guitar pick I got from this Megadeth show. I'll go ahead and go through some of these guitar picks I got. Like, I think I've got these in the order I got them. I'm guessing anyway. I think this one came from like the second Metallica show I went to. I don't think this was at Lollapalooza. I think it was that second one. Obviously, it's got the Load logo on it. So that's about the right time frame. Pantera. This is just a pick from the Pantera show. They actually this is a little, you can tell like the quality on this one's super cheap. They threw out hundreds of these, like they just had a big huge bucket and were just throwing them out there. Whereas like stuff like Metallica and a lot of these other ones, they'd probably maybe throw out a dozen picks at the end of the show, and I was really hard on trying to get these picks. Like I would be scavenging just trying to look at the floor as they turn the lights on, and all of these picks I got myself though, from the concert floors and stuff. And then this came from that Godsmack show. It's got the Godsmack logo on the back, and then we got Disturbed. I'm not sure which show I got this Disturbed pick from. But obviously one of them I did, and these two Seven Dust picks, I'm pretty sure I got both of these at the same show, but I did see Seven Dust a handful of times. And then these other ones I'll try and go over as I get to the corresponding ticket. So anyway, this is from Ozfest in 2005. This was actually a Black Sabbath farewell tour, if I recall correctly, or at least they advertised as such. No guarantee they didn't start touring again afterwards. But this one I also got to see Iron Maiden and Black Label Society. Rob Zombie was there again, and Mudvayne. So yeah, that was a great ticket. Then we got Seven Dust here again. So yeah, I believe this Seven Dust show also had a Nonpoint at it and Soil. Both bands I like Nonpoint more than Soil, but yeah, these definitely a great show there. And then it looks like I went and saw Nonpoint again a few months later. So this is March of 2006 and going into August of 2006. I went and saw Nonpoint again. And then this is a Metallica. This one I actually went with my wife. This is several years later. You can see I kind of hadn't gone to any shows. It's 2006, and this is all the way to 2009. I took my wife to this one. So yeah, this is years after what I would consider the prime of Metallica, but hey, it's still Metallica. I think I got both of these two picks here off of that show. This one right here and this one here. It's labeled Canada 09. Obviously, we were in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which isn't Canada, but they were throwing those picks out too. So anything I could get a hold of, I was happy to get a hold of. And then this was a couple years later. This is the most recent show I've gone to. This is Music as a Weapon, Disturbed, Korn. This is the first time or the only time I've seen Korn, and then Seven Dust again. And I managed to get a Korn pick out of that concert, which I'm pretty excited about. So yeah, so that's my experiences with going to concerts. I'm actually looking at, for the first time in, according to this, a decade, I'm looking at going to a Megadeth concert coming up here. My my younger brother, who I've been to a handful of shows with, he was at this Music as a Weapon show. I believe Peter went with me on that one as well. Um, but yeah, he had it on his bucket list to see Megadeth, and he's missed out on seeing a lot of these bands since a lot of people have passed away, and got really freaked out when Dave Mustaine had throat cancer last year. Was sad. He figured he'd miss his opportunity. So they're coming through town again in this summer, and I'm planning on picking up tickets and going to that. And it's going to be my first show in a decade. I'm pretty excited. But in any case, thanks for listening, folks. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like and subscribe if you're interested in hearing any of my future videos or seeing what I talk about, that'd be all cool. But in any case, have a good day.